Home Trails podcast presented by me, Ultra Running Sam. Now, this podcast is part of the Home Trails media entity that encompasses our Home Trails documentaries. You may have seen them on YouTube, so where we interview famous ultra runners from around the world and in the UK at the moment. We film them on the trail and in the home, obviously, Home Trails. Get those insights into their training, big races they've done, and then just their background information. Try and dig a bit deeper into what motivates them to go and do these amazing things that they do. Also, part of Home Trails is new for this year is our live podcast coming from big races. You may have seen us at the Spine Race in January. We were there doing our thing all week. Later on in the summer, we will be at the Lap in the Lake District, and then keep your eyes peeled for other races where we'll be popping up and doing media coverage for some big races, hopefully. So, obviously, we have a podcast now, so we'll keep doing this every week. Keep churning out the podcasts with famous runners and people in the industry, anyone that we can get on that we feel that you might be interested in related to trail running and ultra running. So on with our guest. Okay, so welcome back for the third time, returning guest Fiona Pascall.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm surprised that your listeners aren't bored of me by now.
No, the most certainly aren't bored of you, Fiona. It's great. So I was having a look actually, like when I realised this was the third time that I'd had you on. So it was December 2022 was the first time we spoke.
Wow, was it?
Yeah.
It was early on.
Yeah, really early on. Yeah, yeah. So I gave you the title of like the next best thing in ultra running.
Wow, well, that's very generous. Thank you.
And it turns out you are the next best thing in ultra running.
Well, and I don't know. I think I'm still working. Still
Yeah,
got a lot to go, I think.
yeah, and as humble as ever. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. I know you've probably been hounded this week because of your result. So first off, like congratulations for the win at Chianti. That was outstanding.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really big one. It was a kind of a really solid training block with a little bit of kind of concern around the training block, but I felt really fit and strong going into it. So it's really nice when that pays off because it doesn't always, right? You can feel amazing going into a race and have it completely fall apart. So it was really nice to have that kind of the block and the race going well together.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, because it was a decisive win as well, wasn't it? So 19 minutes, was it? Is it 19 minutes?
Something like that. Yeah, it was around that. I mean, that's not very decisive for 12 hours. It didn't feel decisive. I was
I
panicking the
suppose.
whole time.
Because obviously you moved your way up, didn't you, into first? Were you sort of were you conscious of them sort of hunting you down towards the end, or did you sort of understand that you'd got that bit of a lead on them?
No, I think it wasn't until sort of 15 kilometers from the end that I started to relax a little bit because you know what it's like in ultras, you overtake someone, but you have no idea if they're just having a low patch
Mm.
or if that low patch is going to come and hit you at any point. So you never feel comfortable. And overtaking both Azara and Johanna, they stuck with me for a really long time. I think both of them stuck basically next to me for sort of 5 or 10 kilometers after I'd overtaken them. And then the lead increased just so ridiculously slowly.
Mm.
So I was really aware that they could come back at any point. So I was kind of running scared the whole time. Also, they're both really good athletes. They're not beginners. They're not 50K specialists or anything. They're 100K specialists. So I knew they weren't gonna I couldn't guarantee that they were gonna continue to slow down.
Mm. Yeah. How did you sort of feel going into the race? Because I know obviously we've spoken before, and you've expressed how you feel quite a bit of pressure with some races. Was the pressure on with this race going into it, or were you just sort of going there not expecting, the amazing result that you've got? How did you sort of, what was your mindset going in?
Yeah, I felt pretty good going in. It's something that I've been working on because I did actually just after we spoke last time, I did UTMB and I kind of fell apart at the
Mm.
start and I let the pressure get to me. So it's something that I've been working on. I've been meditating and I've been putting a few tools into practice so that I'm more comfortable at the start line. And this was the sort of the second race that I was putting that into practice in, and it did seem to work. But I also think I was fortunate in that I wasn't going there for a golden ticket, whereas a lot of the other women were there
Yeah.
really wanting this
Mm.
first or second place. So I wasn't kind of like I wanted to win. I wanted to do as well as I could. I wanted to the podium, but I wasn't kind of terrified of not coming first or second. So I
Yeah.
think that put me in a better place. It's the kind of need to succeed versus fear of losing or fear of failure kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, because you'd got people that had genuinely gone there, specifically targeted that race for a golden ticket. You know, think of like Killian going there because he'd got to tick that box, hadn't he, to get into Western States. And then who's the US runner? Is it Abby Hall?
Abby Hall, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I mean, she had an incredible race considering that she'd done Black Canyon 6 weeks earlier.
yeah,
But yeah, she came over for a golden ticket, and it was the same with Johanna and Azara, and I think that the top kind of five women were all hunting that ticket.
yeah. Do you ever sort of like pinch yourself now and think back to, take yourself back to that Bob Graham where you were like crewing your sister and that was sort of like the spark for ultra running for you. And then now you're sat here with, a golden ticket. And have you decided what you're doing yet? Is that sort of sunk in the fact that, over because it has been, I say a few short years. It's not been a few short years, but since you decided to sort of go all in on ultra running, do you sort of pinch yourself now and think, wow, I'm in this situation where I've got a golden ticket and I can go, I can choose to go to UTMB this year and next year and Western States as well.
Yeah, it seems pretty crazy. It has been a really short amount of time. It's been like 4 years, 3.5 years, I think, of me taking it seriously. And yeah, I mean, I had a base. I was doing a bit of running beforehand. It wasn't some from absolutely nothing. But yeah, it's pretty incredible, really. And there was always kind of like I would do well in the like a fell race or something, and then I think, well, I'd never actually compete against proper people. And then I compete against proper people and I'd be like, well, I'd never compete against like Western States qualifiers. And then this happens. And I still have no idea whether Western States would work if I do go. Because it's so fast. It's a very different kind of terrain and race than what I'm used to. To answer your question about have I decided, no, I haven't decided. I'm not going to do both.
Mm.
So it's either Western States or UTMB. There's a few factors that are kind of they're out of my control. It's a really really expensive trip to go out to Western States and do it properly. So I need to sort of find some funding hopefully. But no, I'm not. Again, being in the sport for only 3.5 years, I'm not Courtney. I can't just go and do, or the very few other women who have gone and done Western States and UTMB, and it's broken so many people trying to do that double that I'm just not willing to do that to my body, basically.
But it's broken, people that have been in the sport for 10, 12 years, isn't it? Maybe longer. So yeah, it's a wise decision to not do both. But what are you have you sort of swung one way or the other yet? Can you reveal whether you go? Because I really want you to go to Western States, and that's just purely like for selfish reasons because I want to see you go to Western States and sort of walk in the same path as Beth. And do your family knows how to win that race.
um I don't know. I was going into the race and during the race and immediately after the race, I was 100% sure that I wasn't going to take it. It wasn't part of my plan at all. I just wanted to compete against the best. So I chose the race because it was a golden ticket race, but I didn't want to get a golden ticket. Um, and there was partly because I couldn't afford it and I didn't realize at the time that there would the potentially options for any like Salomon or anyone to help me out. And I still don't really know if that's the case, so I can't give you an answer because I would
Do we need to
I would
set
want
up a crowdfunding for this? Do we need to set like have you thought of that, a GoFundMe? But I'm sure people would like snap it up within 24 hours. You'd be on a first class plane ticket.
I'm not sure about that. I don't need to go that much. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think that it may be an option, and I think just because just because I might never get a golden ticket again, I think it would be a bit silly not to. So I'm currently, and I have changed my mind about every 4 hours since last Saturday. So right this second, I'm currently thinking I will if I can.
Yeah.
With the idea to, I guess, try to get a top 10, which is it's so hard to get a top 10. I'm really not sure if I can do. I'm not sure I can get top 20, but yeah, the idea is to try to get a top 10 and then you can kind of plan the year rather than being in this situation where you have to plan your
Quite short notice, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. You like if I didn't have UTMB and my plan A was Western States and I didn't qualify, then yeah, it messes your whole year up.
Mm.
And we're quite lucky as elites that we can like I could just buy the UTMB entry and still get it in. So we're quite lucky that there's a little bit more flexibility, but yeah, it's a lot easier to just have your place
Mm.
for a year beforehand.
Western States is the holy grail of ultra running, isn't it? So, and yeah, having that. So would you kick yourself afterwards if you'd not taken that chance that you got to go and do that, that iconic race and, you know,
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. I might kick myself in 5 years if this was the only golden ticket I ever won.
yeah.
And I might kick myself if I chose UTMB this year and then it didn't go wrong, it didn't go right for any reason. So I think that's what I'm kind of coming to, that I'm more likely to kick myself for not taking it than for
Mm.
taking it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So basically this needs to be an advert for all of your sponsors to get their hands in the pockets and get those plane tickets. And well, actually, what you're going to need more than that, aren't you? You're going to have like a camp over there and that kind of thing to prepare for it.
Yeah, I think it's really expensive generally.
Mm.
So you need car hire.
I know how expensive it is.
Yeah, right. Yeah, okay, yeah. And just yeah, I think by the sound of it, even the food is really expensive in Northern California. I think we could probably do it with just car hire and then camping. That's what Beth did. So she's
Mm,
saying that you can do the kind of cheaper option, but it's still pricey. There's a
yeah.
lot to consider, and I've got to buy the ticket as well.
Yeah, you forget that, don't you? Actually, that you get given a golden ticket, but it's just the privilege of actually buying your way into the racing
Yeah,
circuit without spending 10, 15 years on the waiting list.
exactly.
Wow. Yeah. So sort of coming back to, I won't sort of keep hassling you about going to Western States, but
I
yeah,
think
that's
I would have changed my mind again by the end of this
maybe.
podcast.
Um, just thinking back to Chianti then. So that race then was when, looking at it, sort of, I was watching the stream and everything on YouTube, got up in the morning, was watching it. It was great, like on first thing in the morning. Um, it looked like it could have been almost like a British race, like with the weather and a bit of the terrain and stuff. So did you feel like it sort of favoured the training that you'd done leading into it?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think I would be very interested to know what would have happened if it was dry. I think there could have been a different result. It was really, really similar to where I live in winter. So it was way more technical than I thought it was going to be, just because mainly because it was so slippery. But also I think with it being in March, there's what the paths are like in spring in the UK, where they've just had like rivers flowing down the paths all winter. So it was all really eroded and rocky and then yeah, wet and slippery as well. So I think that definitely helped me.
Mm. Yeah, it felt like a British race that you could sort of get stuck into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, did everything sort of go to plan then? Was this sort of like, because from from the outside it looked like everything sort of kind of obviously went your way for the win, but at any point did it feel like it was going in the right direction or the wrong direction?
Yeah, I think it's never perfect, but I think it was probably the best race I've ever had in that the least went wrong.
Mm.
My nutrition seemed to work really well, apart from there was one stage where there was, I think it was like 25 kilometers or something, so not very long without a crewed aid station. So there was just one aid station without crew. And my plan was to fill up with the NARC drink.
Mm.
And I filled up and it was just, I think they hadn't mixed it or it was really diluted, but it was just like water. So I came into, so that was quite a tough section, feeling pretty depleted for sort of 15K. But I just got into the next crewed aid station and I necked 500 ml of Coke and took a bit of gel, and then I perked back up again. But that was probably my lowest point, and it wasn't that low.
Yeah. Do you find that sort of a bit of a rescue remedy for you, the old flat Coke?
Yeah. Yeah. I really never crave a Coke outside of running and in fact racing. But yeah, it's really good. I think it doesn't taste that sweet.
Mm.
It's really sweet, but it doesn't taste that
Mm.
sweet. And it's
A
just
lot of sugar in it.
something
Mm.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
It,
amazing. And
it,
it's just, yeah, I think when I really don't fancy anything else, I can always get some Coke down.
yeah. Yeah. And so as far as things sort of going your way then, had you sort of got a tactical plan going into the race, or were you just sort of like you said, obviously there was you didn't have any pressure on yourself because you weren't going for a golden ticket like a lot of other people were. Had you sort of got a game plan going in that you would, and did you stick to it if you did?
Yeah, I think the game plan was to kind of to race from the start, but also to be aware that other people are going to be going out very fast. And that was what happened. So I had this probably I think we were all running together, the five of us, for the first 10 kilometers. I think I was at the front, but they were kind of right behind me. It's difficult to tell exactly where they were because it was dark. But on the first kind of big runnable climb, all four of them just overtook me. And so then I had to kind of, it didn't really feel like a decision because I would have had to work very hard to keep up with them at that point because I'm not much of a like short distance fast uphill runner. Like I would be rubbish at the VK or anything like that. So I let them go, and I knew looking at my like average time that they were going to have they were going to be either have an incredible day or they were going to have to slow down slightly. So I was kind of I don't know. There's kind of two people on my shoulder. One of them saying they're just better than you, and the other one saying, "Nah, you're going to reel them in." And I tried to listen to the reel them in one.
It's always tough, isn't it, in that kind of situation where if you think, because everyone always says, run your own race, but sometimes, like in the heat of the moment in a race, you can sort of think, no, I can do this. I'm going to keep up with them. And sometimes it's to your detriment, isn't it, if you make that kind of a decision. Did somebody? I heard when I was listening to the commentary, somebody said about somebody missing a turn or a wrong turn or something like that. Was that just them getting confused on the commentary, or did one of the women miss a turn or go in the wrong direction or something?
Yeah, I don't know about that actually. I went the wrong way, but only very briefly. It was only like a couple of 100 meters. And I think Johanna said something about going the wrong way, that she took a wrong turn, but I haven't asked her about it actually, so I don't know how far out of the way she went. But it could have been her.
Mm. Do you know that the other two that were second and third? Are you familiar with them as runners? Do you sort of know their sort of racing tactics, or were they unknown people to you before?
No, I didn't really know them before. I knew that Azara had won last year and she has some really amazing results. Um, but yeah, no, I didn't know that much about either of them.
Yeah, yeah. So sort of thinking about that race and how it sort of fits into your plan then. So had you sort of got like a background idea of if things had gone well, how was this race going to fit into if you hadn't got a golden ticket, how was this race going to fit into your season?
So the plan was to do Transvolcania next with a kind of question mark over it because I came out of last autumn with bad ankles with some tib post injuries on both sides, and they took quite a long time to get better. I could run all the way through the winter, which was amazing, but they were a little bit sore after some of the long technical like specific races that I did. So I mean training runs, sorry, that I did. So I was kind of thinking the ankles might come out of this ruined, in which case Transvolcania will have to go. And then the plan was Lavaredo UTMB.
Yeah. So obviously everything's up in the air now. So
Exactly. Yeah, everything's completely up in the air. I have no idea what's going on. I might, if I do Western, I maybe reunion.
yeah. If just thinking of going back to Western again, would you sort of if if everything got sorted for that and something came forward and you got the funding to go and do that, how would you sort of approach training for that? Would you go out and do like a bit of a mini camp out there, or would you sort of go out there just before?
Yeah, I would want to do it properly. I think there's no chance for me because I'm not very good on the heat. I'm not very good at ACAT. I'm not very good at
That's,
altitude.
that's
So
just
I would completely, I wouldn't be able to cope with it. So the plan is to go out a month before if I go, and probably just do the heat because obviously you can only do heat or altitude because if you go up high, then it's not hot.
Mm,
Um, so yeah, probably do the heat training, try to get used to that because I'm not very good in the heat. So it's
yeah.
gonna be a bit of a shock.
I remember hearing sort of I think it was just like a short video post that somebody put on about Jim's training for because he's like great in the heat, isn't he? Obviously Jim Walmsley, and how he used to when he used to go and do his canyon runs as training, he would drive in his car with the windows up and no air conditioning, and obviously like out in Arizona how hot it is, like he would drive for like half an hour or whatever it was to the trail. He would do his run, and then he would get back in the car and do the same thing again with the windows up and just drive home. So we would get that extra stimulus. When you like you've been in on a hot run, all you want to do when you get in a car is just put the air conditioning on into it and just blast yourself with cold air. But he would like get in, get in his car and drive in the heat.
God,
Have you
yeah.
thought about that as preparation?
I mean, I've done like a pathetic British version of that, which is just go for a run in the UK and then get straight in a sauna. But that's like what a 15 degrees going for a run, just heating the body up a little bit and then getting in a sauna, and that's horrendous enough.
Yeah,
I think with Jim, he can cope with a lot more, like his body can cope with a lot more stress than most people's. So I
yeah.
think just going out there will be probably enough for me.
I think it is amazing how your body does get used to in quite a short period of time the adjustment to that kind of heat. Because I'm just thinking of from when I went out there a few years ago to do a bit of filming, how it was an Englishman in California, like red hot, like 30. It was like 30, I think at the track it was like 36 degrees or something like that. And but fortunately, like previously in the UK, we'd had like a bit of a mini heat wave. So it was over like 30 degrees, like for like the week, sort of 2 weeks before, like, the 1 in a million summer chances that we get of it being warm for any period of time. And it just worked really well. So I was out running, I was just in the heat all the time, paddleboarding, and then went out to California expecting to sort of really, really suffer. And actually, it turned out that it was okay. Spent hours running around the track filming people and stuff, and never ever like conked out from heat exhaustion. So I think just maybe just like a few weeks before, because they say that, don't they? That if you do it for too long, it sort of blunts it. But if you do it like for a short period of time just before you go, it seems to have that a little bit of a cumulative effect, and when you're out there, you're okay. Mm.
Yeah, I think so. And then it also doubles up to improve the altitude adaptation. So it kind of, yeah, it's kind of helpful for both because when you're at altitude, it's not hot during the race because it's first
Mm.
thing in the morning and you're high up. So yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's completely new to me. I've never done particularly well in the heat in the
Yeah.
past. I think like at Innsbruck in 2023, it was 35 degrees in the valley,
Oh.
and it was just horrendous, and I just hated it, and I was rubbish. So we'll see what happens. I definitely need to work on that heat thing.
Yeah, yeah, get in the sauna. What about people use those altitude tents, don't they? Have you looked into doing anything like that in the lead up to it?
I know I don't think they really work, if I'm honest. I think that you have to live at altitude,
Yeah.
and it has to be for a minimum of 2 weeks to really get any adaptation. I think sleeping at altitude, one, it's only 8 hours a day. You'd have to just set up your whole like house as an altitude chamber. And two, it disrupts your sleep. So I think I think they can be pretty harmful and not very effective.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Just thinking about saunas and things. Is that something that you've incorporated into trail retreats?
Ah, yeah. I mean, that's the next thing on the list for Matt to build. So he's built a house, and
Poor
then he's
Matt.
built a cabin. And now I'm like, Matt, build me a sauna. Yeah, no, it would be amazing. I think we'll definitely have. We're talking about either a sauna or a hot tub. We're off grid here, so we have to be thinking about how we heat it. But I think we could do a log fired sauna. I think that would be really good.
Yeah, that'd be good. Yeah. Yeah. So obviously, I knew we're going to get on to the subject of trail retreat. So sort of, um, this has been like I didn't realize that this has sort of been like a really long-term project for you because obviously everyone has just sort of seen it appear on social media over the last sort of few weeks, not few weeks, few months, and everyone's like, it's amazing, like fully formed. But this has been like your blood, sweat, and tears for since 2020, hasn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, we've had some breaks since then, but yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we moved onto the land in 2021. We started building the little cabin that we lived in 2020 in the first lockdown. And we started rewilding the field in 2020 as well. So then, yeah, it was kind of 2020, start rewilding, build the cabin, move into the cabin 2021, built the house 2022, built the cabins 2024. And then, yeah, and then because it was all, nothing was finished, we didn't really have anything to show. So we were kind of waiting to launch until, or I was kind of waiting to launch until Matt finished building the cabins. So yeah, no, it's been everything for a really long time, and it's really exciting to finally sort of show it.
Yeah, great. It must be handy having a partner who can build anything.
Yeah, yeah, he's done so well. He like, completely learned on the job. He's always
Oh,
done like
really?
a
So
builder.
he's not a builder by trade then.
No, he's done a bit of carpentry. He renovated. We had a house before that he renovated, but it was very much learn on the job. We had a friend of ours who came and lived on site with us for 7 months over the summer when we were building the house. And that was Matt's kind of apprenticeship. So our friend taught him
Mm,
carpentry, and then and then Matt's kind of modeled the cabins off of the house because he knows how to do that.
yeah.
I
Wow.
think he's quite looking forward to not being a builder, to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure. So was this always sort of your like sort of long-term plan to go off grid and do this? Because this seems like something that you like sort of only just really beginning your like elite trail running career. This would seem like something that probably somebody would do towards the end of their career when when they've got more time on their hands and they're worried about not having sponsors, but you're doing everything all at once.
Um, yeah, well, I mean, I still have to work. Yeah, I really love working with Salomon, but I'm not a kind of a full-time athlete. There's no way I could do that. So it kind of works hand in hand with the running, to be honest. And it's part of the reason that we love the idea of doing it, so that we can work really hard and we can have these amazing retreats while we're in the UK, but then we can just take a month off and go to the plan this year was to go to the Alps and acclimatize for UTMB. So it might be pulled forward a little bit, but it means that we can have these kind of seasons. And I think it probably comes from that we both lived in ski resorts for a while when we were younger, and it's really nice to have those kind of seasons where you pack all the work in, you work really, really hard, and then you have these nice long off seasons where you can go and sort of travel and experience things. And at that, now the off season is the just the running season.
Yeah, yeah. It seems ideal, really, doesn't it? Like, just I suppose the only trouble is that people sort of say that you end up sort of doing your hobby for a job. Sometimes you lose the joy. I mean, I hope you don't lose the joy of running by by putting trail retreats on. I'm sure it's probably not something that's come across your mind before.
No, not at all. I think if I was doing 50 a year, maybe, but no, I really love it. I think there's something really special about a bunch of people who come from completely different walks of life coming together and experiencing an amount of time with this one really passionate interest. And it's so cool. Like the conversation is always so interesting. And I love meeting all these different people and just basically just nerding out about running. I think I can't imagine it getting old. I really, really love it.
Who is it sort of aimed at specifically then? Like, sort of what demographic of runner is it aimed at, or is it just literally anybody can sort of go if regardless of sort of running experience?
Yeah, I mean there are retreats for everyone. We're doing like this season so far. We've got a women's only retreat. We've got an introduction to ultra retreat. So that's like if you've been doing a bit of running and trail running and you're just starting to get into the kind of ultra side of things. We've got yeah, a trail running which is sort of based aimed at beginners. So yeah, a little bit of everything, from those people who are, doing the big, for example, UTMB, CCC, those kind of races, to those people who are just starting to get into it. So we want to have it open to everyone, but yeah, have specific retreats for different types of people.
Yeah, yeah. So are you finding that you're having people sort of come into you now? Not that you weren't sort of prolific before, but seeing like results that you're getting now and just coming to you and wanting to, I want to go to trail retreats because I want to learn from Fiona about how to race this specific race, that kind of thing. Do you find that people are sort of booking you for those reasons to get specific knowledge from you?
Yeah, I think it's all very new, to be honest. So I don't know exactly why people are booking. I think we've got some really amazing guests as well. So I think that's a big part of it. I think, and we're still getting the word out there that they exist. But yeah, I think it's the discussion. So on the ones where it's just me, and then the same for the ones where there's guests, we will be doing talks and Q&As, and they are always really really engaging, because it's not just that they want to kind of, I guess, learn from me. It's the group learning from each other and just asking interesting questions, and yeah, sort of discussing it as a group.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. Um, so business is good. Things have picked up. I was supposed to do like a bit of an advert for you, but obviously you don't even need that now, do you?
Oh, we need it. Yeah, please do an advert.
Okay, good.
Yeah, no, it's starting. I think it's the word starting to get out, but it's still really, really early days. Um, I think it's something that people need to think about for a while. So I think being aware of it is one thing, and then committing to come on the retreats is another. But I think we've had one retreat so far, which went really, really well. We had incredible feedback. So I think I'm really happy with the product. I think it's a really awesome experience for anyone. But we're not exactly sold out. So yeah, we're still looking for people to come down.
We'll do it, yeah. That's awesome. So just thinking about coming back to like UTMB and everything, how is this sort of, is this, if you do go to Western States, are you just going to look purely just be out at UTMB just to be out there and see everybody, or what would you do?
Oh, yeah, I don't know if I'll go to UTMB if I go to Western States. It would be really nice. I quite like the idea of going kind of maybe just for the week
Mm,
to experience it from the outside, partly because it would be really fun, and partly because it would be quite a good kind of psychological experiment for me to sort of immerse myself in that experience, because I had a really bad experience in that kind of
yeah.
madness last year.
Mm.
So yeah, I would really like to, but I don't know. I don't know if it's possible.
And then the plan would be, depending on how well Western States goes, yeah, because if you got a top 10, then would you be going back again in 2026, or would you then sort of focus on UTMB 2026 because you've got that ticket for that?
I think if I got a top 10 at Western, then I would have to go back.
Mm.
Unless I hated it, but I really can't imagine that happening, especially if I get top 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, that would be the plan, to go back again. I think I really have unfinished business at UTMB, and I definitely want to go back a few more times. Um, but it's easier to get into UTMB than Western States. So I think Western has to be the priority. If I don't go to Western this year, I'll probably just do the golden ticket races because there's only ever one golden ticket race in Europe. So I just do it just in case, but be sort of planning to go to UTMB if I don't get to Western States.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. That's a good plan.
Mm.
Hopefully it should all work out nicely for you. I'm really pleased that that everything's sort of going your way, because I really felt for you last year with your bad experience at UTMB, because we had a chat before, didn't we? And then you had a bit of a rough time. So do you how do you feel sort of now, look, facing going back? Is it something that you feel like you've obviously got to go back to sort of exercise a few demons kind of thing? So do you think that will help if you just went back just as, as a not racing, just to go and get the atmosphere, basically, just to sort of quell your nerves?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting thought. I think it might help. Um, but I don't know, because it's not just the noise and the crowds. It's the pressure. It's the noise and the crowds focused on me. And I know that they weren't solely focused on me or anything, but it was just a lot more. It was a lot more pressure than I thought it was going to be. So yeah, it would be really interesting to go back, but I think it would be a very different experience
Mm,
supporting than racing.
yeah, yeah, fair enough. Just thinking about Western States for the final time. Have you have you had a conversation with Beth about it, and sort of her approach? And have you been picking her brains about what to do, and if you do decide to go, how we would approach it?
I've had a conversation with her about whether or not I should go if I get the chance. Um, and at the time, I went on the phone thinking I wasn't going to take it, and I came off the phone thinking I was.
Mm,
Which again has happened quite a few times this week. Yeah, because she just loved the experience. She loved everything about Western State. She because it's such a small race compared to UTMB, it's a completely different vibe to UTMB. And she kind of assured me, she told me about, you can sleep in a tent on campgrounds. You don't need to be spending loads and loads and loads of money on Airbnbs and things. So she kind of persuaded me that it was potentially more possible with less funding. Um, and just again reiterated that it might never happen again. And that's the thing that I kind of keep coming back to.
mm, yeah, yeah. It's not that it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, but
It
I suppose
might be.
it could be. It could be. Well, no, you'd like to think that you've got plenty more shots at it. Absolutely, over the years. Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's going to be. I'm sure it's going to be great. So just I thought, because I've you've been on the podcast a couple of times before, and I my traditional question was always like the superhero question of how you got to be who you are, and how your backstory and everything. So obviously everybody knows all of that. So I thought of another question for you, which I probably should have like told you about beforehand.
Yeah.
So for so for returning guests, because you're on for the third time, I think there's only you and Damien Hall that have been on. I think Damien's been on 3 or 4 times. So because you've got this experience of being an elite runner, is there any sort of things that you can sort of share with the listeners that you've sort of learned over the years coming into the sport? And with having the success that you've got now in these races, is there anything that you could share with the listeners that you think would be, like a bit of a nugget of gold for them to sort of, like as opposed like as far as training goes or nutrition or anything like that? And I apologize for not prepping you on this question.
No, that's fine. No, I think I could say loads of stuff. I think with the training, it's just about being patient, and it can get frustrating sometimes, but consistency is, and I know it's been said 1,000 times, but consistency is so important. And it's not just consistency over a 3-month training block, it's consistency over the years. And it's something that's kind of, I guess, been highlighted to me recently, that my training hasn't really changed that much over the last. I've periodized my training, so I have sort of summer type training and then the winter sort of speed block and things. But this winter I had a like a, I guess, a step up in a way that I probably haven't really experienced before, just in my speed, in the way that I was running on the flat and uphill. And that's always been my struggle. And it's just sort of, and it's something that my coach Martin Cox says all the time, it's not about the individual training session, it's about just that accumulation of just staying healthy and not getting ill and not overdoing it and just chipping away. And I think it's so easy to get drawn into these like crazy like double thresholds and these horrendous days. And it's just so much of the time, apart from if you're basically Killian or Jim, you don't have to do these ridiculous things because you can stress the body in a more sensible way, and still improve and stay safe. Like it's so much more important, in my opinion, to be just a little bit conservative and stay healthy than to like really search for those massive goals and massive improvements and put your body at risk.
Yeah, that's very true, isn't it? Yeah. So your sort of step up as far as like your performances that you've had recently, nothing has changed drastically in your training then. It's just literally just been consistent training year in, year out.
Yeah, exactly. I've been able to increase intensity a little bit this winter just because of the sort of three years that I've had training properly beforehand, and I've coped with it. I've been okay with it, but it's been a really long time coming. And I didn't really notice it in the races because each race is different. So I guess if I were to go back and do the same race in the same weather on the same course, then I might notice. But it was more in the training that I noticed it. It's quite small things, just a little bit more pace at a more comfortable rate, a little bit more comfort on the hills, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it, that you see people sort of come into the sport and they do well for a few years and then crash a little bit, and they've obviously got talent, but sometimes, yeah, like you say, that's why I suppose having, Martin Cox is a great coach, and he's been around for a long time. He knows what he's doing, so it's good to have. So that's really an advert for getting yourself a coach, isn't it, really?
Um, for getting yourself a good coach,
Yes, it's so true. Yes.
I think some coaches are worse than not having a coach.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah. I think it depends, I guess, on your personality. But for me, he definitely holds me back. And there's been a few times where I've kind of disagreed with him, and between us, we've sort of decided to go a different way. And then I've basically been proved wrong almost immediately every single time that's happened. So for me, I mean, I'm very lucky that I have Martin, and he's quite strict, which is which I need.
Mm.
But yeah, he doesn't mess around. He doesn't if he doesn't think I should do a race, he'll tell me. If he doesn't think I should do a session, he'll tell me. So yeah, that's really good. But I think that you have to be a very good coach to be able to have that kind of knowledge of your athlete, especially when we don't see each other every day, because that's the kind of the thing that's changed in the last kind of 5-10 years, right? That the coaches and athletes don't know each other. And so a coach a lot of the time is looking at like VO2 max and HRV and sleep scores according to wearables and things like that. And it's just, I think that's such a dangerous way of going about things. The way that we work is that I tell him everything that I do every single day. And I'm always getting told off for not putting enough information, but I put a lot of information, exactly how I'm feeling during the day, during the session, how I slept, what I did when I worked, how much downtime I had, all of that kind of stuff. And I think a lot of coaches don't ask for that. And a lot of athletes don't give it. And in that situation, I think it's quite dangerous to be completely reliant on a coach.
Yeah, it's great advice. Yeah. So if anyone's listening to this, watching this, thinking of getting a coach, get a good one.
Yeah. I don't have a list of good coaches already. Yeah, just find a good one.
Don't be sliding into these DMs asking for coaches.
No, don't ask me.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time coming on, Fiona, and chatting. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing you toeing the line of Western States. No pressure.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Yeah, I will. I'll keep you posted on the whole Western States thing. But thanks for having me on.
That's all right. And if you need a hand with a GoFundMe, I'm sure we could get it going.
All right, I'll give it a week and see.
See what. Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Talk to you soon. Cheers. Bye.